the success can be amplified if multiple people have ownership in the outcome versus just the company or the people who started it. It sort of, the success piece of it expands. And we did a stint going through sort of blockchain and Web3 technology. And I think one of the things that was so interesting there is it unlocks the ability for people to co-create and co-own with businesses. And as a future model of success, I believe that thing can be very, very, very sticky and very, very powerful. And you see this in sort of movements that are started at grassroots and how large they can become. Things like, the Red Hat Brigade and the umbrellas in Hong Kong and Black Lives Matter. These things went from nothing to massive, and there's companies that are expending millions of dollars trying to do that. And it comes back to this idea for me that who's owning this, who's benefiting from this, and if there's a collective benefit and a collective ownership, the scale possibilities and the impact possibilities go up tenfold.
Absolutely. And one of the things that is coming to mind as you're saying that is a nonprofit by definition is owned by the community. I don't know how the nonprofit laws apply all over the world. I know in the States, where I live, if a nonprofit organization has $1 million in its bank account and it goes out of business, or in other words, all the board members die in an automobile accident or something, and it has to shut down, by definition, that $1 million is given to the community, the municipality in which that nonprofit resides, and the community authorities decide where to distribute the money. So no one owns a nonprofit. It's not owned by an individual. It cannot be. It's against the law, the way it's structured. So this mindset of ownership is a key distinction between a business and a nonprofit. That is the key distinction, is ownership, that word. And so there are so many models that are happening around the world right now that are evolving around employee ownership models. One of the biggest things that we're seeing is where business leaders that are looking to exit a business or transition out, and let's say they don't have a child or family member that is eligible or that's interested in taking over the business, and it's not the kind of business that they can list with a business broker and sell readily. Oftentimes, we see employees getting ownership in a company, and now what we're learning is there are so many difficulties around employee ownership, because instead of having an owner or a family that owns it, in these employee-owned companies, now you have 10, 20, 100, 1,000 different people who own, and they all have their own unique ideas, thoughts, and perceptions about what should happen.
Yes.
And that creates oftentimes even more dysfunction than what we were seeing before the business transitioned to be employee-owned.
I think it's also, because one of the big buzzwords is this idea of community. Community has the potential to be a new defensible moat for companies, that if there are people invested in the success of the business, and that's spread quite wide, it's much more difficult for that business to falter or fail, because people are emotionally, financially, kind of spiritually invested in the success of this thing. But once again, with community, there comes a challenge, because if you make a commitment to community, it's not something you can turn off when things start, the kind of finances aren't doing so well this month. Let's just not do that for a month. It's sort of, once you start, it's a path that you keep you have to keep going down. And I do believe if you do choose it, it can be very valuable.